In this video, I'll be working through the question you see on the screen here from 2025 Leaving Cert Higher Level Maths Paper 1. I'm going to try and show you how to do this question and not just the solution. So definitely pause and rewatch certain parts of the videos if you need to. If you're looking for a different question from this paper or a different paper entirely, you should be able to find a playlist in the description below or have a look around on my channel. Okay, let's get into the maths. In question 1 part A, they've given us an inequality and an absolute value. Common enough question, but I do see students make mistakes here. The main mistake I see is they square both sides. You have an absolute value, you're fairly tempted to square both sides. You could do it here, you'd have to be really careful, and there's very easy to make mistakes. I wouldn't do it because of the inequality. So what would I do here? There's actually two ways I'd answer this question. I'll show you both of them. So my first way is I'm going to break up this absolute value. Because what an absolute value is, it does something if it's positive. Sorry, it does nothing if it's positive, I guess. And it does something if it's negative. So that's a world where two different things happen. So I'm going to break this world up. I'm going to say x minus 3 is bigger than or equal to 0. That's one world. And we'll split, put a line down the middle. The other world is x minus 3 is less than or equal to 0. So this happens in maths all the time, especially after Leaving Cert. We end up breaking the world into different possibilities and solving in them. So this is quite a common maths thing to do. So in this world, or another way to write this, by the way, is just x is bigger than or equal to 3. X is less than or equal to 3. Just rearranging that. So in this world, what does the absolute value do? It does nothing because it's already positive. So if I wrote this whole thing out again, x minus 3 is less than or equal to 12. That's all I get. So there's no inequality, there's no absolute value anymore. So I can just rearrange this and get x is less than or equal to 15. Just remember, you still have to respect the world. The world says x has to be bigger than 3. So when this says x is less than 15, it would seem 0 works. But 0 doesn't work in this part of the world because I've said up here it has to be bigger than 3. So really the answer here is x is less than or equal to 15, sure, but it's also bigger than or equal to 3. We'll draw this on a number line in a moment. Let's move to the other half of the world. X is less than 3 or x minus 3 is less than 0. What happens in this case? Well, the absolute value changes the sign. So what we really get is x minus 3 changed. It gets its sign changed. It gets multiplied by minus 1. And then it's less than 12. That's what the absolute value does. It it multiplies everything by minus 1 if it's less than 0. But this now is quite easy to solve. There's no absolute value again. If I multiply that minus 1 in, we get minus x. Minus by minus, we get plus 3 is less than or equal to 12. We get minus x is less than or equal to 9. Change the sign of both sides, x and minus 9. Just be careful. Remember what happens when we change a sign in an inequality. This becomes bigger than or equal to minus 9. Except we still need to remember we're always less than 3. So putting these two together, we have x is, bigger than or equal to minus 9, but less than or equal to 3. Both these answers are correct. In fact, we can combine them together. If I draw a number line, here's 0. This guy is telling me everything bigger than 3 and less than 15. So there's 3 and there's 15. It's telling me the answer for x is everything in here. This guy is telling me everything less than 3 and bigger than minus 9. All of this is correct. So to put the two answers together, this image here, it's x is actually bigger than minus 9 and less than 3. I believe you would get full marks if you had these two.
but I'm not 100% sure. I could see them taking away 1 or 2 marks. I don't have the marking scheme, it's not out yet. So I believe I think it'd be fair to take away a mark if you left these. This would be your full and final answer. Okay, let me clear that off and I'll do it again. Okay, this second method is actually the way I would do the question. I would draw this question. And how do I do that? I'd get an XY axis. I would draw the left hand side. So by that I mean I would draw a function that looks like y is equal x minus 3. And I would also draw y is equal to 12. I would draw the left side and the right side and put them on a graph together. Y is equal to 12 is easy to draw. It's just a straight line like that up at 12. This one's a little harder to draw, but it's not as hard as it seems. To draw this, we actually just have to draw it without the absolute value. This is an absolute value, not a bracket. We just need to draw without that, and this is quite easy to draw. I won't, if you're not able to draw a function too well, you do need to study that. I won't show you now. You could just put in x is 0, x is 1, x is 2, see what it looks like. But a bit quicker, the minus 3 is the y-intercept, and the number in front of the x is the slope. So it would actually look like this. I'll leave it dotted for now, because I don't want to draw this. I want to draw this one. But they actually look nearly identical. The only difference with this one is when it's less than 0. So here it's bigger than 0. So all of this is fine. When it's less than 0, it actually flips back up. All the minuses become a plus. Instead of minus 3, we get a plus 3. It all just bounces up. Okay, so that's how I roughly draw this function here. And you should be able to do this quite quickly. You'll get used to it. If you're able to do this, you don't have to explain it to anyone. You could probably just draw this quite quickly. Now let's see what this says. It says this is less than 12. That means this, think of the triangle thing, this phi shape is less than 12. When, and more importantly, where is it less than 12? Over here, when x is, let's say, well, we happen to know what these numbers are. Well, I'll leave that for a moment. All the way over here, this is not true. The V shape is actually bigger than the 12. So it's everywhere between whatever this number is and whatever this number here is. That's where the answer is, x. The answer is x is less than or equal to this number and greater than or equal to this number. So it just becomes, what are these numbers? It's not as tricky as it seems. This line up here, we know, looks like x minus 3. This line here looks like 12. So when they equal each other, we get this point. That's just x is equal 15. We knew this from the previous part. So this guy here is 15. Again, what's this one look like? Well, this bounce here, this line here is the minus of this one. So that's just minus x, minus 3, plus 3. And this line is still 12, equals 12. We solve that, we get minus x is equal to 9, x is equal minus 9. That's this point here, minus 9. That's and that's our full answer. So it's a bit quicker to do, especially because you can do a lot of this in your head, in fact. But either of those two ways are fine and you'll get full marks. For part B, they just asked us to multiply these two brackets out and simplify our answer. It's a pretty straightforward question. They're just trying to scare you a bit with all these square roots. Don't get put off by that. Just go through your motions, multiplying two brackets. This multiplies by that, multiplies by this, multiplies by that. You get three terms out. This multiplies by there, by there, by there. There's 2 terms, there's 3 terms. You get 6 total terms out. So we just do that. 4x by 2x gets us 8x squared. 4x by 5 square root x. Don't worry, just take it each in stages. Work out the sign first. A plus by a plus, we get a plus. 4 by 5, we get 20. X by square root x. There's 2 things you could write there. I'm just going to write x square root x. You could, if you wanted, have wrote x multiplied by x to the power of a half, which of course is x to the power of 3 over 2. That's fine as well, but it's quite common just to leave it like that as well. There's not much more you can do here except without bringing the fractions in. Okay, 4x multiplied by minus 7, we get minus 28x. Minus 10 by 2x, minus 10 square root x by 2x, we get minus 20. Again, there's an x and a square root x. By convention, we'd write the bigger number first. X is bigger than, in order, is bigger than square root of x. But it doesn't matter if you mix that up. But it's now easy to see that this term is the same as this one. Okay, minus 10 by plus 5, we get minus 50 square root x by square root x. You could write square root x, wouldn't be the best thing to do. Square root x multiplied by square root x does have an easy solution. It's just x. And lastly, minus 10 by minus 9, we get plus 70 square root x. We can clean this up though. There's two terms, for example, this one and this one, that are identical. This plus 20 minus 20, x square root x, x square root x. It's just gone. What else? We also have two x terms. So let's see, we've no x squared terms. We've just 8x squared. Minus 28 minus another 50. That's minus 78x. And this doesn't go with anything, so it's plus 70 square root x. Simplify. That's as simple as I can get that. And that's it for part B. If you are finding my videos useful and would like to help the channel out, on top of liking and subscribing, probably the best thing you could do is to tell other people doing the exam about my channel. Maybe you could share this video in a class WhatsApp group. Then if you feel I've really deserved it and you would like to buy me a coffee, you could become a member on YouTube or on Patreon. You should find links to that in the description below. Okay, in part C, they give us this cubic function here, and they also tell us that it has a factor, that is 2x plus 3. They tell us to use that information and find the 3 roots to the equation they show. They show us the same thing when it equals 0. I'll just leave it like that. So basically solve this, find out the x's. At the bottom then of the question they show you x, 3x, x1, 2 and 3. What are the answers for each of them? Now this question's sort of asking you a bit of knowledge as well. It's like, what's a factor? How does a factor work into the answer to solution? So hopefully, well, let me spell it out here. Hopefully you know we can factorize a quadratic, or in this case a cubic. A cubic will factorize into 3 things. 3 x's. In this, one of them is 2x plus 3, and the other is x or something x, something, and all this equals 0. These multiply together to equal 0. That means that if this is equal 0, it's an answer. The whole thing will, if 0 multiplies by anything, the answer is 0. So one of the answers is just this equals 0, 2x plus 3 equals 0, or 2x is equal minus 3, or x is equal minus 3 over 2, or minus 1.5. That's one of the answers. How do we get these other two? There's a couple of ways to do it. Let's see. I'll show you 2 different ways. I guess there's one of the ways can be split into other ways as well. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it. Let me clean actually this up a bit, and then I'll show you. I might be on my own here, but the first way I'm going to show you is my favorite way. It's one of my favorite things to do in maths: long division with algebra, or algebraic long division. If this is a factor of this, that means we can divide this into this. So let's try that. 2x plus 3, we're going to divide using long division into 4x cubed minus 12x squared minus 7x plus 30. And well, spoiler, we should roughly know what we get out.
a linear function, that's a function x to the power 1, divided into a cubic function, that's x to the power 3, should give us out a quadratic, x to the power 2. So let's see what we get. To do this, we think of a number we think of something that multiplies by 2x to get 4x cubed. So that has to be a 2 multiplies by 2 to get 4, and we need another 2x squared, another 2 x's, or x squared. So we know this number multiplied by this will get that. That's sort of how we're doing it. But then let's multiply this by both of these. First one will get the same as we got here. That's where we got it from. 2x squared times 3 will get 6x squared. This goes in, so we're going to take this away from the line above and see if it goes in perfectly. This goes in perfectly. It takes away, gets 0. This doesn't. Minus 12, take away 6, so minus another 6. We get minus 18 x squared. Let me just write that again. X squared. Doesn't go in perfectly, so let's take the next term down. Of course, this one thing multiplied by these two could only interact with 2 of the terms, so we only take them down as we need to. Anyway, so what multiplies by 2x to get minus 18x squared? Must be minus 9x. So multiply that out by these two, we get minus 18x squared. Minus 9 by plus 3, we get minus 27x. Take these away, we get 0. Minus 7 minus 27 gives us a plus 20x, and we take the next term down. Doesn't go in perfectly, take the next term down. What multiplies by this to get 20x? That's a 10 plus 10. 10 times this, we get 20x. 10 times 3, we get 30. This does go in perfectly. Take these away, we get 0. This is also a factor. So to write that again, this number here, I'll put in equals like this, is equal to 2x plus 3 multiplied by 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. We found 2 factors. We want 3. So what we're going to do now is we're going to concentrate on breaking this one into 2. Break this guy into 2 different factors. If you're not good at factorizing quadratics, you can use the minus b formula to help you. There's a complete the square method you could use. Nowadays, a lot of calculators will do it for you, so feel free to do that. It is important you know how to do it though, so don't rely on the calculator in your exam. But you can use it in the exam to double check. Okay, so what's the factor of this? To get x squared, we would need an x by an x. To get 2, we'd need 2 and a 1. So what are the factors of 10 that would work? 10 and 1. Could we make that work? 10 times 2 is 20. 20 and 1 can't get to 9. 1 times 2 is 2. 10 times that is 10. 2 and 10 could get to 8. Getting close. No, that doesn't quite work. What about 5 and 2? 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 1 is 2. 10 and 2 again doesn't get to 9. It's 8 again. What about 5 here? It's the last option, so I'll write it in. 5 here and a 2 here. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. 4 and a 5 can get to 9 if they're both plus, they add to 9, but also if they're both minus, they take away to minus 9. And let's see, they also multiply to get plus 10. These work. These are the factors. Don't worry if you're not good at doing that in your head, as it were. Feel free to use the minus b formula. It would have told you that x is equal to, well, I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to write here. X is equal to 5 over 2, or 2.5. It would have told you x is equal to 2. So that's 2 of your 3 answers. The other one was the one I think I already wrote it. It's just x is equal minus 3 over 2. They're your 3 answers to this question. Now I'll rub this out and I'll show you. I'll show you most of another way to do it. I won't do the last bit. I won't finish this. So maybe I'll leave this bit here because it's the same way anyway.
If you didn't like that first way, this second way is probably a little shorter, but I do think it's harder to understand or to get, and also I just like the first way. I like how everything cancels. So this other method is it's quite similar. It's this is a factor 2x plus 3. It's realizing that something is here. We know roughly what it should look like. We know there should be a quadratic here, an x squared, an x, and a number. We just don't know what those numbers are. Except one of them. We actually know what the x squared should be. We know there should be a 2x squared. Because how else are we going to get to a 4x cubed? So we can actually fill in some of this bracket already. And then we just use letters. We say a x and b. We know there'd be something x here and something without an x here. And this now allows me I can multiply these two brackets together and it should equal this. It won't look like it yet, but I'm going to use that fact. Well, let me just multiply these two together and show you what I mean. 2x by 2x squared is 4x cubed. Actually, let's take a few shortcuts. All the x cubes, that's the only way to get x cubed. Where are all the x squares? We would get an x squared from this times this. So let's write just x squared, and there would be 6 of them. 3 times 2, we get 6x squares. But then there'd also be 2 times a. So it'd be 2a x squares. That's all the x squares. Hopefully you're following how I got there. You could have wrote all one mess and combined it to this point, but I'm just skipping a little bit. How would you get an x? 2x times b would get you an x. Let me write plus x. So 2b. b times 2x would get that. Another way to get an x would be this 3 times this ax. That would be 3a times x. And then finally we would have 3 times b. 3 times b. And all of this equals this first line here, and I'll write it again. 4x cubed minus 12x squared minus 7x plus 30. Looks like a mess, looks hard to do, but at this point you just use the trick that all the x squares on the left have to equal, the x cubes have to equal the x cubes. The squares equals the squares. The x on its own equals the x on its own. The numbers without an x equal the numbers without an x. So that tells me that 4 equals 4. Not very useful, but tells me that. If I skip to the last one, that's usually the easiest one. The first two terms and the last terms are usually the easy one. So that tells me that 3b, all the numbers on the left without an x equals all the numbers on the right without an x equals 30. Or put another way, b is equal to 10. But you could also do it for any one of these. I'll do the x squares next. It tells me 6 plus 2a is equal, let me get out of the way, minus 12. Rearrange that. 2a is equal minus 18. A is equal minus 9. Sorry, my a's and 9's look alike. Apologies. Let's put a little curl here. We don't need to use this one, but we could. You'd find 2b or 20 plus 3a's or minus 27. That's minus 7 equals minus 7. So it should all work. So in this bracket is actually 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. That's the same quadratic we found last time. You just need to solve this, find your 3 answers. Once again, I won't do it again. This is the same as previously. Okay, that's it for question 1. If you have any follow-on questions, let me know in the comments. Put a timestamp in. Let me know where in the question you were asking about. It helps me to answer. Thanks for watching and have a great day.